Progress on the new interchange station close to Birmingham Airport remains painfully slow, and there is still no sign that construction of the station is due to begin anytime soon. That's not to say there hasn't been any progress, but it is noticeable how little progress there has been compared to the other new stations on the HS2 route. Despite the slow progress, I was surprised to see that a new structure had been constructed since my last visit. And when I visited in June, there was a huge crane with a 700-ton lift capacity next to the A45. I had thought initially that the structure may have been the first sign that construction of the station had begun. However, it turns out that it's just a culvert that will be used to divert utilities underneath the railway. The bridge beyond that has been in place for some time and will provide a link from the drop-off areas and station car park. The bridge further beyond forms part of the roundabout linking the NEC and eventually the station to the A446 and A452. In the very far distance, you may be able to make out a crane. This, I believe, is located on the site for the M42 box. I was hoping to cover the construction of the enormous box before the first weekend closure of the M42 commenced. The motorway closed last weekend so that the first beams could be installed for the box that will carry the tracks over the motorway. Further closures are planned between the 24th and 27th of July, 14th and 17th of August, and 18th and 21st of September. There will be other closures of the M6 and M42 so that bridge spans can be moved into position for the Wateraughton Viaduct, which forms part of Delta Junction. The 9,800-ton roof for the M42 twin box will be formed from 175 23-metre long prefabricated beams that will be lifted into position using a 300-ton crawler crane. A box of this type is quite unusual for HS2, as most of the other bridges are formed either from concrete segments or composite weathering steel and concrete structures. Although unusual for HS2, a similar structure was constructed by Network Rail over the West Coast Main Line to replace Bletchley Flyover. If I have time, I would like to look in more detail at the work which is taking place over the summer to move the bridge spans over the M42 and M6. Returning back to Interchange, although there hasn't been much progress on the station, there does seem to be much more activity on site compared to previous occasions when I visited. Work is also progressing on the bridge that will carry the A45 over HS2. So far, a new structure has been built for the East Way Connector Road, which has been permanently realigned. Balfour Beatty Vinci JV is now concentrating on building a new bridge to support the eastbound carriageway. The crane that could be seen between the dual carriageway and Eastway towards the end of May and beginning of June was used to lift pre-manufactured beams into position that will form the deck for the eastbound carriageway. Once this is complete, the eastbound carriageway will be realigned over this new structure, after which the westbound carriageway will be realigned to provide room to build the deck for the carriageway heading towards Birmingham. Then, once the entire deck has been completed, the A45 will be realigned once again and return to its previous state before the work began. Although construction of the A45 bridge also seems to be progressing slowly, it will, as far as I know, be completed on schedule by 2028. The only other piece of news was reported by Rail Magazine on the 12th of June, and that was that HS2 Limited has issued a pipeline notice for the construction of the Automated People Mover, or APM. In February 2025, HS2 Limited had initially announced that it invited bids from Poma SAS and Doppelmayr Cable Car UK Limited to build and operate the 2.2 km long elevated people mover system. An update to the contract was however published in March this year. This small alteration to the terms allowed bidders to make limited changes to the original proposals, but still stipulates that the system will be cable pulled, much like Luton Dart. Hopefully this means that the winning bidder will be announced soon, and we may see some significant progress at Interchange. Given that the opening date for HS2 has been pushed back until 2036 at the earliest, then the lack of progress at Interchange isn't of particular concern right now. It's just frustrating that progress is seemingly being held back, which myself and others strongly believe is being driven by the Treasury, rather than the ability of the joint ventures to deliver HS2 sooner. It seems the Treasury is more concerned with ensuring the yearly spend does not exceed an arbitrary figure, rather than allowing the joint ventures to deliver HS2 as soon as practically possible, which may increase the yearly spend, but would reduce the cost overall and means that the railway can begin earning revenue sooner. From the significant progress I've witnessed on other parts of the route over the past 4 years, I'm struggling to believe that it will take another 10 years to complete the final 20 to 30% and then test the trains. But that's perhaps for another video, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future HS2 content. And lastly, if you found this video informative, then please don't forget to give it a like or even a hype, as it helps my content to get noticed.